Hello, you lovely people, and welcome to another 4-part budget challenge series, living on 80 euros a month. You all loved my Living on 100 euros a month series so much that of course I wanted to make another one. But we want to keep it interesting, and that is why we are going down to 80 euros a month. That means 4 videos, 20 euros each week for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Is that even possible in today's day and age with inflation and everything? I don't know, but we can find out together. For this week's shopping trip, I went to Lidl because it's just one of my absolute favorite shops in the world. Now, apart from these gorgeous GoPro shots in the beginning, for some reason I decided to film everything vertically like a total newbie. I don't know why, guys, I just realized once I was home, so I'm sorry that everything is vertically. Anyways, I got quite a lot of veggies at Lidl. Cucumber, tomatoes, some leek, also a broccoli, and as my carbs for this week, I decided to get rice. Extra points for everybody who can tell me what kind of sound you hear behind the rice. I also got some tofu, and then I really had to hold on to my purse. I wanted to get vegan Nutella, but of course that was not in the budget, so I had to leave it there. Even harder was that the Barilla pasta was on sale. 1 kilo for $1.99, and I hadn't planned for pasta this week at all. I didn't get everything at Lidl, so I had to go to Netto. I bought some spinach there, which was no problem, but the chickpeas were really difficult. I will explain later why. The last thing on my list was some ginger, so I got that as well, and then I headed home. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is everything we're working with this week. At Lidl, I bought 1 liter of oat milk, 1 kilo of parboiled rice, 1 kilo of flour, 1 bottle of passata, 2 blocks of tofu, which is 400 grams, 7 bananas, a head of broccoli, 1 can of sweet corn, 4 tomatoes, 4 little sweet potatoes, 1 carrot, 1 cucumber, 1 leek, 1 puff pastry, and also some veggie broth because I was completely out of veggie broth. Please note that the tofu, the bananas, the carrot and the cucumber are organic. I could have saved some money by buying the non-organic versions, but guys, if it fits within my budget, I will buy organic. Now, there were 2 problems at Lidl. First of all, they don't sell regular spinach there, only cream spinach for some reason. And I also couldn't find dry chickpeas there. I love to buy dry chickpeas because it's cheaper and you can just cook them up yourself. But there were no dry chickpeas there. So I had to go to Netto, where I found the spinach without any cream added. Perfect. But I also couldn't find dry chickpeas. I don't know why. I'm very sure the last time I was at Lidl and Netto, I could find dry chickpeas at both supermarkets, and now they are gone. If anyone can explain that to me, does it have to do with the season or something? I don't know. So I couldn't find dry chickpeas. Now, I tried to find some chickpeas in glasses because one of my viewers commented on one of my last videos that you should only buy chickpeas in glasses, not in cans, because the lining of the cans adds some chemicals to the chickpeas and it's not good for you. So I tried to find them in glasses, but I couldn't. And that is why I had to buy chickpeas in cans. So the viewer that mentioned that, I'm sorry, I don't know your name anymore, but whoever you are, know that I still remember that. But I couldn't find any chickpeas in glasses. I'm so sorry. So we have to make do with the ones in the cans. Also, because I needed some ginger, I found ginger at Netto and it was still within the budget. So I bought that as well. Another thing I bought, I have to admit, is a kilo of Barilla pasta at Lidl. That is, strictly speaking, something I don't need for this week, but the deal was so good. 1 kilo of Barilla pasta for $1.99. I had to take it, but I will not use it for this week. I will use it next week. Just keep in mind, it's not for this week. So if we look at the numbers, I paid 19 euros and 22 cents at Lidl, and I paid 2 euros and 33 cents at Netto, which adds up to about 22 euros, but I have to deduct 2 euros for the pasta. So all in all, I spent less than 20 euros on all of that. As always, I am allowed to use things from my pantry. I will use my spices, I will use oil and vinegar, and I also will use up some onions and garlic that I still have. But I will also say that whenever I run out of something, I have to restock it with the money I have in this month for the budget. Now, you can see that I already stocked up on veggie broth because I was out of veggie broth, and I will not just use that this week, but for the coming weeks as well. If I run out of oil, I will have to buy oil. If I run out of whatever, I will have to buy that. Okay? Okay. And now we can start cooking. For breakfast this week, we're going to make a sweet yeast braid, and we will combine that with the bananas that I bought. To be honest, guys, for me, the bananas would be already enough for breakfast. If you have seen some of my videos, you know that I barely ever eat anything for breakfast. So 1 banana each day would be fine. 7 bananas, so oops, 1 for each day. But I know that other people need a bit more sustenance for breakfast, which is why we are going to combine that with a sweet yeast braid. And for that, we will use the Thermomix. You don't need a Thermomix to make that recipe, but it makes it easier. So I'll show you how it's done with the Thermomix. We need the oat milk, the flour, we need some sugar from our pantry, and also yeast. And guys, I have 3 different packages of yeast in my pantry, so I really didn't see the need to buy new yeast. I want to use all of that up, and I think one of these sachets costs probably 10 cents or something, so we're going to use that one. And I also need a little bit of oil. The recipe actually specifies butter, but I didn't buy butter, and a neutral oil like, for example, sunflower seed oil just works fine, so we're going to do that. The great thing about the Thermomix, among other things, is that it has included recipe in the machine. And there is actually one recipe for, I think there are probably several recipes for Hefezopf in there, but this is the first one that came up. And let me just show you how it works. You have the recipe here, you have the ingredients over here, and then also they explain how you have to make it. But you don't have to read all of that. You can just go into start cooking mode, and then it tells you step by step what you have to do. This is obviously in German, but I'll translate it for you. It just says, take a big bowl and put a little bit of oil in it. I already did that. I oiled a bowl. We put that aside, and then we now go to step 2. It says add 300 grams of milk. Let me just prop you up so I can show you how I do it. Okay. Apart from the recipes, it also has a scale built into the machine, which means that when it says you need 300 grams of milk, you just pour in the milk and you watch the scale, and then you know exactly how much is in there. So let me just do that. So that is 301 grams of milk, but that is fine. Now we add 20 to 60 grams of sugar. Same thing, I watch the scale. I like sugar, so let's do 45 grams of sugar. Then sunflower seed oil. Don't put in olive oil, that has too much of its own flavor, but very neutral oil like sunflower seed oil is fine. So we put in 50 grams of oil, 2 teaspoons of yeast. That's 1 teaspoon. Yeah, so it's exactly 2 teaspoons. We put on the lid, it says here on the screen. So now the machine heats up the milk and dissolves the yeast and the sugar. And then after that we have to add the flour, but not yet. Needs about 3 minutes, and then it will tell us the next step. That is how the Thermomix tells you that it's done. And then you just have to slightly touch the screen and then it stops. Now, next step is to add 550 grams of flour. Again, keep an eye on the scale. 552, which is absolutely fine. Next step, 1 teaspoon of salt. That is it. Next up, put on the lid again. Next step, turn the button. And now it kneads the dough for 3 minutes, and then we're nearly done. This is what the dough looks like after 3 minutes in the machine. And now we will put it into this bowl that is slightly oiled. And then we will let it rise in the bowl for about an hour. Cover it up with a dishcloth or something and make sure it's in a warm place. Don't put it on the balcony if it's cold outside. Keep it in a warm place and let it rise for about an hour. And this is what our dough looks like after an hour. So it's at least twice the size. And now all we have to do is take it out of the bowl onto a little bit of flour on the counter, separate it into 3 different parts, and then roll these out into long like strings and then braid them. And then we have to cover it up again and let it rest for another 30 minutes. So there's a lot of resting time involved, but you know, that's fine. And this is our yeast braid after another 30 minutes of resting. To be honest, it did not plump up as much as I thought it would, but it's going to be fine. So now we're going to put it into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius, which is around 350 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 25 minutes. Please keep an eye on it, and if it gets too dark, then take it out of the oven. But it shouldn't need more than 25 to 30 minutes. And this is the yeast braid, fresh out of the oven. Isn't it gorgeous? Now, there are several options how you can eat this as breakfast. For me personally, I will just cut off a piece and dip it into my coffee. That is enough of a breakfast for me. But then you could also cut off 1 or 2 slices, however many you want to eat in the morning, cut up a bit of banana, put it on top of it, and I just drizzled a little bit of almond butter on top of it because I had almond butter in my pantry, but you don't have to do that, okay? You can just eat the yeast braid with the bananas. Delicious. If you look at this, I just cut off 2 slices. There's loads. If you want to eat this for the whole week, I would probably say maybe slice it up and freeze some of it so it stays fresh. Otherwise, it might go stale. Personally, I don't care. Even if it's stale, I will dip it into my coffee and it's still delicious. But if you want to have it fresh every morning, then just put it into the freezer and then unfreeze 2 slices every morning. I think that would be better. Okay, so this is just half a banana in 2 small slices. We've got all of these bananas back there. More than enough breakfast for a whole week. And now I'm going to enjoy that. Bye-bye. The first meal we're going to cook is a leek and spinach quiche, because first of all, I love leek. It's a very underrated vegetable in my opinion, and also I love quiches. What I'm cooking here is a mixture of 2 different recipes I found online. I knew I wanted to make a quiche, but I knew that the recipes I had found had some ingredients that would probably not fit into the budget, which is why I just took the 2 recipes and tweaked them into one that fits my budget. That is what I usually do. So I will leave the links for you in the description box below. Just know that I'm not cooking either one of these original recipes. It's a mixture, as I said. What we're going to do first is we're going to take a quiche pan. We will grease it with a little bit of oil and then put in the puff pastry. We will form it so it fits the pan, and then we will stab the puff pastry with a fork and then sprinkle a little bit of breadcrumbs on it to make sure that it doesn't get soggy later. Then we will cut up the leek and wash it thoroughly. We will also slice up 1 onion and 1 clove of garlic. We will saute the onion, the garlic, and the leek in a little bit of oil in a pan, and then we will also add the spinach. We will season that with some salt and pepper. Then we will add that to the tofu into the Thermomix and add some additional spices. Some turmeric, some thyme, some kala namak, which is a salt, a dark, nearly black salt that smells a bit like sulfur, but it's very tasty. We will also add half a bouillon cube, and then we will mix that all up in the Thermomix. Once it has a nice consistency, we will put it into the quiche pan. And then we will bake this at 200 degrees Celsius, which is around 400 degrees Fahrenheit, for 35 to 40 minutes. Keep an eye on it. Should it get a little bit too dark, you can always put a bit of aluminium foil on top. But after 35 to 40 minutes, it should be good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the quiche right out of the oven. Or not really right out of the oven, because I let it cool for about 30 minutes because it needs the time to set, you know. And it's interesting. First of all, I intended this to be more like Bianca Zabatka's quiche. Look at that link if you want to know what I mean. In the middle of cooking, I shifted towards Pickup Limes' version, and I nearly made it exactly like that, except for the tomatoes, because the tomatoes were not in the budget. So you saw me put in a lot more garlic than I said in the beginning. I also put in the juice of 1 lemon that I still had lying around. Please don't hate me for it. But that's in Pickup Limes' recipe, and I thought it really needed it. So now I have a mixture of Pickup Limes' and Bianca Zabatka's quiche, and it leans toward Pickup Limes' quiche. And I think it needs the tomatoes. Don't get me wrong, this is really, really good. It's full of protein because of the tofu. It's full of vitamins because of the spinach and the leek. It's good, but I think it would be better with the tomatoes. But they were not in the budget, so they are not on the quiche. But I think as it is, I mean, we are on a really tight budget, and keeping that in mind, this is a really delicious quiche. So don't think about the tomatoes like I did. Just, if you're on a budget, leave them out. Make the quiche like this, and it's still really good. And now please, excuse me, while I enjoy this piece of quiche. Nom nom nom. The second meal we're cooking is an easy veggie curry with some chickpeas. For that, we need the oat milk, the rice, the sweet potatoes, the broccoli, the carrot, the passata, the chickpeas, and the ginger. From my pantry, we will add 2 little onions, 3 cloves of garlic, some curry powder, some turmeric and cumin, and also a few cashews that I had still lying around. Just like with the quiche, I found a recipe online that I tweaked for my purposes, so I will leave the link for you down in the description box below. Just keep in mind that I'm not cooking the exact original recipe here. What we're going to do first is we're going to peel and cut up the onions, the garlic, the sweet potatoes, and the carrot. Then we will also wash and cut up the broccoli. We will add a little bit of oil to a pan and saute the onions and the garlic just for a few minutes. Then we will add the turmeric, the curry powder, the ginger, the cumin, and let that all bloom for a few minutes, just 1 to 2 minutes, not too long, so the spices don't burn. Then we will add the carrots and the sweet potatoes and let that saute for, again, 5 to 10 minutes. Just make sure that it doesn't get too brown, not too dark, so add a little bit of water if you need that. After that, we will add the passata, a little bit of oat milk, and some cashew cream. Now, the original recipe uses coconut milk, but I found out I really don't like coconut milk in my cooking, which is why I use a mixture of regular oat milk and then some cashew cream. So after we added the passata and about probably a cup of oat milk, I'm winging it, guys. I'm just looking at it if it looks good, and if it looks good, it looks good. But then we will also add the cashew cream just to make it creamier and, you know, thicken it up a little bit. After that, we will add the broccoli and the chickpeas and let that all cook for as long as it takes until the veggies are soft and the flavors have come together. Usually 15 to 20 minutes. You just taste it and see how it goes. Also add some salt and pepper to taste, and then it should be delicious. And we will serve it over white rice. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the finished product. This is delicious. It is a lot, as you can see. It's very, very good. And I didn't even use all of the ingredients. I only used about half of the broccoli because the pot was already so full. And I didn't use all of the sweet potatoes, as you can see. There's still 2 left. But it still made a ton. I already plated out 1 serving for myself. I tried it and it's delicious. The recipe says 4 servings, I think, but I think this is probably more, especially since I have so much rice. So I would say this could be 6 servings at least. And the quiche was already 4 servings, so we're at 10 servings here. Yeah, curry is always a win. What can I say? Nom nom nom. And the third meal we're going to cook is a very easy summer rice salad. Rice salad is just like pasta salad, but you use rice instead of pasta. For that, we need, of course, the rice, but then also the tomato, the cucumber, the corn, and the chickpeas. And I will add 1 red onion from my pantry. Red onions are in general nicer in salads because they are not as sharp as regular onions. What we're going to do first is wash and chop up all of the veggies. We will cook the rice according to the package instructions, then add everything to a bowl and make a dressing with some olive oil, some balsamic vinegar, some salt, pepper, and sugar. And that is it. Easy as that. And this is the finished rice salad. I absolutely love these summer recipes. Pasta salad, rice salad, it's so easy to make. It makes a ton. It's very healthy because of all the veggies and the chickpeas, and you can keep it in the fridge for a few days. Wonderful. I absolutely adore this. It's delicious. And it makes, well, the recipe says 6 servings, possibly more. And I personally am very happy that I made this rice salad. I should make this more often. So good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. In case you enjoyed what you saw, please consider giving me one of these, or maybe comment, or maybe subscribe to my channel. I would personally appreciate that very, very much. Thank you again, and I will see you in week 2. Huzzah!